What's up, YouTube? I want to do a video on a review of a kind of a budget gun that could be technically shot somewhat long range. I'd say 500 yards easy, and good varmint gun as well, and very inexpensive. This is kind of a real budget setup here. This one I built for my wife actually. We went and shot it yesterday out to 380 yards, and I'll cover that here in a minute. But it's a Savage Axis, and I have one as well. I have the 22-inch version. This one's the 20-inch with a threaded barrel, and these things have just shot phenomenal. I mean, absolute. Mine is with my hand loads is probably the most accurate gun I own, and I own a nice Remington 700 that's set up for long range, and this thing just shoots lights out with hand loads. This particular one we haven't got to run a lot of hand loads through it yet. We just took commercial ammo yesterday when we went shooting, and it was just some 50 grain Federal white box hollow point stuff, just varmint rounds, and not really known for its accuracy or anything like that as far as that ammunition goes. But we did a zero on, just check 0 to 100 yards. I had originally put the rifle together after I did the Cerakote work on it, and just did a basic 0. We did a fine 0 yesterday, and then I didn't have any data on the load we were shooting as far as velocity goes. I didn't bring my chrono, so we just kind of guessed the dope I had with some other rounds, and shooting out to 300, a true 380 yards. I mean, laser range found 380 yards to this piece of steel. Should be able to see behind me there, and that was at 380 yards. And once we got the dope right on the scope or whatever, man, she just cranked away and was just hitting 10 out of 10 on that thing from 380 yards with a 50 grain hollow point bullet that wasn't, like I said, not the most accurate round there is, especially when you start shooting long range, because it's a light bullet. Luckily, there was pretty much no wind. It was just a slight breeze. She had a little holdover. She was holding, set right about the edge of this red or whatever, so you can see it's pretty much centered, and little drifts as the wind changed or as her hold changed. But what's on it basically is just a standard box stock Savage Axis. I put a $13 spring they sell on eBay that lightens these triggers up, because the trigger from the factory is about, I think when I gauged mine, I think it was 7 pounds. Put this spring in there and watch, because I think it voids your warranty, because they have some yellow kind of goop paint in there for you, like an anti-tamper device. So watch, know that you're probably voiding the warranty on there when you do that. So shoot it and make sure the gun works and everything before you do that, in case you do have to send it back for any kind of repair. But I changed that spring out. It now pulls at exactly 4 pounds, and it's got a nice crisp break to it. So it cleaned that trigger up considerably. I mean, it's a better trigger on this than my Remington came with from the factory. I mean, it really improved that trigger after that $13 spring. Another trick I learned on YouTube was actually right here in front of this spring, or this front bolt, there's a lug that comes down that mounts the lug to the action of the stock. Well, what you do is you take, actually I think the lug's right here, the distance between here and here, about that far, and what you do is you take an aluminum can, and this sounds really hokey, but man, it works awesome. You take 5 strips, so you cut 5 strips of aluminum can, you lay it in there. What that does is that acts as a spacer, and it spaces the stock out from the barrel. So what it causes it to do is free float on the bipod. So what happens is on these rifles, when you basically put them up on a bipod or load the bipod, this stock's so kind of weak, there's no reinforcement down here, is it'll actually push the barrel into the stock, or put the stock into the barrel, and that messes with your harmonics, which messes with your accuracy. So you don't want anything touching the barrel, when the gun's going off. So once you put that spacer in like that, like I said, you got a good free float. Even when I pinch that down, simulating load on the bipod, it still has a good clearance or whatever in there to free float, so it doesn't actually touch it and mess up the harmonics. So I also went with a Bushmaster, a Nikon Buckmaster 2 scope, which I thought it was a Buckmaster, the original, like I have on mine when I bought it. But I can't say, I'm pretty impressed for the scope for the money. It'll do everything you need to do to shoot long range. I'm sure that there's obviously better, more high quality options out there. But when I got the scope, I wasn't as disappointed once I started using it. It's zeroable, re-zeroable, and it's actually toolless. You just pull up, re-zero it, set it back to zero when you get your dial in, get everything fixed, and then you can actually dial in dope and come back to your zero. So it makes it nice. So you can actually shoot long range with it and go back to your zero. And it does repeat zero. It's got good tracking on it because we shot it out 380, which I want to say we ended up at 714, 28. About 30 clicks is what it took to get on target at 380. So once we ran that out, she shot all that. We ran it back down and shot zero again, and it went right back to zero. So that's what you kind of ask of a scope is true tracking, is to run the turrets up, and when you run it back down, it ends up at zero again. So definitely a good budget option so far. We haven't got a ton of rounds to the scope, but she actually got to shoot her first squirrels yesterday, so she was stoked about that. I got my dad's little farm or whatever. He's got squirrels just tearing up his almond orchard that's just burrowing under and stuff. So, he's like, hey, if you guys want to go out there and help me out, go for it. So we went out there so she could shoot a couple squirrels and did an amazing job. Headshotted one at about 80 yards and with this thing. So, like I said, plenty accurate, really affordable. Good option if you want to, just kind of put your toe into starting to reach out, shooting a little longer ranges. Obviously not the best solution, because if you're going to go out, this gun obviously won't go out 1,000 yards. It's possible this scope combination wouldn't, because it wouldn't have enough run out in the turret to get it out that far. But from 0 to 500, great option, and I want to say these guns run, I wouldn't buy it with the scope. It's a better deal if you do, but I don't really care for the scope that comes on the little package deals like the XP, whatever. I want to say they're about $300 to $350, just depending on your area, to buy the Axis without the scope. This scope I got on eBay for, I think, like $139. These are Warren rings that you can buy for about $30-$35. Buy it now all the time on eBay. So you wouldn't have that much in it. Say if you're at $350 in tax, and droves and all that kind of stuff. If you're less than $400 out the door for the gun, then you're on another, say, $140 for the scope. So you're $540, and then some rings, you're $30-$40. So less than $600. You can have basically this setup right here, and it'd serve you well for getting into like varmint shooting, coyote shooting, and stuff like that. This particular one is a 20-inch barrel with a brake. I put a Surefire SOCOM brake on it. Really like these brakes. They work well. They're really loud, but they do a good job mitigating recoil. And, as there's not much recoil on a 223, but it makes it nice for her shooting. It's loud, but man, this thing shoots like a kitten. It's like a 22. So definitely a cool combination. Like I said, I just want to put it out there, guys. It's, don't be afraid of budget stuff if it's been tried. Like I said, I bought this one because my first one was so good. It was unbelievably good for the money. I couldn't beat it if I went out and spent 5 times as much as far as the accuracy I get out of my other gun with hand loads. It's all I could ask for and more. So like I said, I don't have any experience with some of the other entry-level guns. Like I have shot a Remington American, and I wasn't impressed with the barrel. I didn't get to shoot hand loads through it, so I didn't get to really give it a fair shot as far as what these go, because some commercial ammo through my other gun, it doesn't group all that well. It's 1.25 inch, 1.5 inch, stuff like that. But with hand loads, with 68 grain Hornady match tip ammo with some Ramshot tack, man, I can get that other gun of mine to shoot literally half MOA all day long. I mean, the barrel doesn't heat up much. It doesn't have much shift, thermal shift or anything like that. So great gun. As far as the budget guns go, I highly recommend one. Like I said, just a solid package. And like I said, this thing's hers, and she was really impressed with it. She got a lot of confidence shooting it yesterday, which is always a good thing. You always want to be confident with your gear, and that'll even help you shoot better. Once you get that confidence level up. So I just want to put it out there, guys. If you're looking for, like I said, just a lower end, lower budget. I should say lower end, lower budget 223 rifle. Check these out. Give them a look at least before you make a purchase. They're excellent shooters. If you hand load, man, these things are going to be just magic to you. the accuracy with hand loads, these things are just unreal. So anyway, guys, just wanted to put it out there. Cool setup. Like I said, I got 2 of them, this one and another one, and they've both been really good. So maybe they were both made on a Wednesday. I don't know. Maybe I got the best of the bunch or something, but it's just a sample of 2. But man, they're awesome. So just want to put it out there, guys. Thanks for watching.